All right.
Hey, what's up?
Did we do it?
I think so. Can you
There's
hear me?
always the there's always yeah, I can hear you great. There's always like a technical aspect to this that I never quite know if I'm prepared for or not.
Yeah, me too. Same here. I was at the last second freaking out because I didn't even know what side of the phone I should be looking at. But I guess right. I guess.
I love that. I love that, dude. It's so funny. I mean, it's so cool though too, like to have a nice little, I know a lot of people do like podcasts and stuff that are like edited and like but I love just jumping on the phone and like going live with a homie and just talking about cool shit they're doing. So stoked to be hanging with you. Hopefully people you'll see if people are interested in hanging out with us. I mean, we'll see, right? I think probably we'll get a couple.
Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing some activity. Well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, it is great to be chatting with you live, and you know,
Yeah.
here for
Just really quick. So for those of you who are joining, there's a little thought bubble with a question mark in it. If you have any questions, we'll try to get to those maybe a little bit towards the end of our chat. But we're going to try to cover a few specific things that Felipe, also known as the Invisible Realm, which is his, what do you call that? Is that like your artist name? Is that your company? What is that? What is the Invisible Realm? I think it fits perfectly to your work for some reason. It just makes sense. But like, what is?
well, yeah. Maybe you can
Any
actually.
story behind it or anything?
Maybe you can help me finish to figure that part out because it started as the name that I put to my body of work, to my collection of art as I started developing it back in 2015. And I didn't really, I mean, I thought it was a good fit for what I was aiming to do, but I mean, it sort of like took a life on its own. And as I continued to, evolve and also create commercial projects, people started approaching me, wanting to work uh, commercially, but with that same type of vibe as the Invisible Realm. So it in a way, it started becoming more like my brand or my presence altogether, like covering both my artistic work and my commercial work.
Yeah.
So I mean, right now it just basically encompasses everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like I said, it's like I don't know. I feel like it's almost like you've branded I don't know, like your work. That's when I think of your style of work and your work, like that's what I think. I don't know. It just makes sense to me for some reason. I don't know if that's just good branding or what it is, but it worked out.
Correct.
So I guess I didn't really introduce you, but I'm sure most people know you more than they know me. So, but Felipe is you're like all encompassing creative director, digital artist, visual artist, fine artist. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I've known you since. Oh, I don't know, like a long time. I remember us like, since like one of my first producing jobs
Well,
at Blind back
yeah,
in like 2005 or something. Is that how long
yeah.
we've known each other?
That was like 2004 LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it feels like another life, like a
It
lifetime ago.
was.
Yeah.
That was like I mean, we were both like young in our career and trying to kind of get, you know, I don't know, trying to get places, I guess, or like, and it just, I don't know. There was something sweet about that time, right? Kind of,
Yeah, it was an amazing time. And I even feel like I mean, even though it feels like a long time, everything that we've done, and because we've continued to be, friends and work together in other places throughout of the years, I feel like it's been super consistent. So everything that we did back then, or the things that we learned, or that we shared, I feel like I can see them in what we do now. It's just that we're a little older now, I guess.
yeah.
A bit more experience, I hope to Yeah.
And hopefully not, and not too jaded, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I think the jaded part happened like 7 years ago. And
Well,
then we sort of like, evolved, almost like yeah, I mean, I say it as a joke, a little lightly,
right.
but no, but it is true. I mean, there was a time, at least personally in my commercial career, that when I sort of like hit a wall, but not because of anything. I don't really think it was anyone's fault. It was just, and I guess it ties very well with our conversation right now. I mean, I was probably at that time not producing any personal art. I was just
Yeah.
100% like into commercial work and putting all my creativity and everything into it. And I think that's great. I still do that, but maybe I was just investing myself very emotionally into it as well, and I didn't have any other outlet. So, when you work in commercial, projects, obviously there's a client, there are some guidelines, and things sometimes don't go the way you originally thought about it. So, since I was at that point, like evolving from like being a designer, an art director, creative director, you start acquiring more responsibility, and some of these projects are a little heavier. And at some point, you start kind of, I mean, if you invest yourself 100% into them, but don't have anything, personal or any sort of art or anything to also focus your creativity on. I mean, I feel like when things don't go the way you originally planned, it takes like a harder blow on you. I don't know. I mean, I experienced that basically. And
Yeah.
the industry also changed, and some of the projects I was working on were not as rad anymore. Some of them were probably a little bit more corporate or a little bit more conservative or more grid-like, and that's fine too. But then that's when I don't know, you start getting all this, unconformities, and then eventually that's when it hit me, and I'm like, hey, maybe it's okay. It's just that I'm just not doing anything that it's personal, and everything that I'm doing, it has a commercial background all the time, and maybe I should just start looking into that with all these tools and all these things that I picked up along the way. And I think that's where my jaded part was coming from. And then the moment that I started, for the first time, allowing myself to be an artist, because I felt like up until that moment I was still considering myself only a designer or an art director or whatever, but like it was never an artist. Maybe because I didn't go to art school, or I don't know why. I mean, but no one ever told me that I wasn't, or that I was an artist. It's just like stuff that you allow or don't allow yourself to be. So the moment that clicked, and I started creating, just personal, as a matter of basically therapy, without
Yeah.
any further kind of like intention. It started flowing. Everything started flowing and connecting much better. And even on the commercial side, things continue to happen, but like my approach to them was different. I was still 100% invested in them, but not as jaded, or not as emotionally attached.
Yeah.
And I think from a creative direction standpoint, that's even better, because you are able to focus and to think of things a little bit more objectively. And if the project takes a different path, or if something changes, you're more equipped to kind of like flow with those changes. I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah. I
that's just.
mean, that's, it's so important, I think. And like, especially for young artists that are coming up and starting to get a lot of commercial work, and this goes for like just people in general. It's not even really like artists who are creative. It's anyone who works in this kind of a field. It's really important that you're all, and I say this over and over. So, but like, it's really important that you're doing something that fulfills you differently than when you're working for somebody or doing something for, you know what I mean? Like, you could be an artist at a company, you could be a great artist, you could be working on pretty cool stuff, but at the end of the day, like, if you're not creating anything for yourself, I think you can easily get kind of lost and unhappy.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Yes.
I say that to like young directors or young, even producers who are just like, they're, work on passion projects. I mean, it's just so, it's so like, I feel like it just fulfills you in such a different way. Even if your career is going great, like do a passion project too, you know, it's like, so anyway, that's all, that's my like one solid piece of advice that I got that out of 25 years in this business. That's all I got to say. I'm done.
Absolutely. That's
Uh,
what 100% in agreement.
well,
Yeah.
that's like an awesome segue to like talking about your partnership with BMW because, I mean, to me, that is like the perfect storm of, hey, you know, they approached you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, obviously I don't have all the details, but from what I understand, they approached you with like, hey, we want you to do you, but we want you to put, you know, like around this piece, you know, around our new thing, you know, it's like, which I think is such a rare, I don't think not a lot of people get to do that, man. Like, that's really cool. Like, you know, it's like, and you've been working so hard. Like, I watched you transition from like, creative director who worked, and I know you still creative direct, but you know, for other people, but like you transition, I watch you transition and grow your personal brand, which is become awesome. And you've become well known for it, but like I've watched you do that transition, and it must feel great for someone to approach you and be like, especially a brand like BMW, which is an awesome brand. Like I love BMW as a brand overall, and their cars are cool too. But I just, yeah, tell us more about that, like collaboration, how did it come to be, and what was it like to work with them, and did they put parameters around you or anything like that, or you know, give us a little insight on that.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and thank you for bringing that project to me. That's been like the highlight of my recent career. So grateful for it. And just thinking of what you just said, I don't know, I remember a couple of years ago, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was just watching something that Bradley G. Monk, who obviously it's a
Mm.
visual artist director that we all love and admire
Yeah, dude's a
and
genius.
forever inspiration as a human being and as an artist. But I remember he was saying something like along those lines. It's just like it doesn't matter if you're doing well or if your career is established until you do something like a project that you're fully in love with it. That's when other people will start approaching you for like what you can bring to the table as a unique human being. I don't know if this was something that he was saying an interview after he did his amazing like robotic cubes or something.
The robot.
But
I
that's
remember that project.
yeah, that sort of stuck with me in a way. I'm like, and I was already doing art at that moment, but like the two paths of commercial work and artwork were still like not merging. But it just makes me
Right.
think. I'm like, I just need to keep pushing. I guess I'm not in a wrong path. I just need to keep pushing this and see what happens. And I just continue again to work commercially, but just to continue to evolve my narratives and my pieces of art. Some of them are emotions, some of them stills. And you know, it's the prophecy just basically came true at some point. Because sometime this year, I get this, you know, email from someone over at Territory, who's the agency who handles BMW, and approaching me. They're like, "Hey, we love what you're doing lately with your recent, you know, projects," and they send me some references from my work from recent, I think some NFT series that I was developing and some other personal pieces. They're like, this is for BMW. We would love to see if you want to create a piece with us. We're launching this new amazing car. It's 100% electric. So to me, that it's also very exciting. I mean, it's a good product, something that I would believe
Mm-hmm.
in. And we want you to create something in your world.
Mm-hmm.
And there were really no guidelines. The only guideline was like just, you know, do what you love to do and just come up with something that involves, you know, our product, but we don't need to see any sort of branding or any mnemonics or anything like that. It's just like basically like a piece of art, including like their product.
That's so cool.
To me, that was amazing, terrifying, fascinating, all at the same time.
Terrifying.
And I'm
I
like,
could, I could.
yeah, yeah, let's go for it. And it ended up becoming a full-on like CG spot. I mean, I challenged
Yeah.
myself in so many different ways too, because as a creative director, I, always relied on teams to develop certain things, in a technical aspect, and in some, I'm hands-on, but this was something that kind of like fell on my plate more as an artist. So like, can you do it? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do it for sure. And just basically just took on, and since obviously it was such an amazing opportunity, I invested all my time and energy and effort into it, and just knowing that it was something in the world of the invisible realm, and that there wasn't any guidelines or restrictions, I was able to treat it like a piece of art, and that's what I did basically. It's just like a little short narrative film, but I was able to basically act almost as a director too, because it has also shots and camera moves and different scenes, everything condensed into like a 30-second piece. But it was like a 30-second piece of art / direction. It was just amazing, and obviously we had process, like a creative process of me presenting to them, the client, the agency. And they were always so amazing and so supportive. And basically the only things that came from like the checking points were like, just keep going, just keep going further. It's looking good. Let's see more. So it was just very encouraging. And again, it came out beautiful. And that was happening parallel to other, personal projects that I was developing. So there were a couple of pretty intense months, but, I don't know. It was just so good that I never felt exhausted or burned by it.
Yeah.
It just
Well, when
came
you're
out.
challenging yourself, you're in it. And for those who want to see, don't know what we're talking about, the film is, you could see it either on the Invisible Realms Instagram, or I think it's the latest story, or it's the latest post on, second to latest post on my grid, if you want to watch it there, or it's on the BMW social site as well. Maybe harder to find. They post a lot, but anyway, it's, check it out. And getting back to the details, I mean, you when you're passionate about what you're making, right? You like don't know that you're not sleeping, or you don't, like you're just, or you're like so into it that it's just wild, it's like, and that's what's so great about when and you've worked hard all your career to kind of get the culmination of like some projects like this. This probably isn't the only one, but like, it feels good, and you love to put your all into those things. So it's cool to hear that that's how this affected you. And it was so, like, it was such a partnership that, like after I saw it, I don't even know how I missed it originally. I was like, oh, normally I'm on that stuff, but like when I saw it, and then I saw that, that it was such a true partnership for them too, where it was like, hey, check out what we did with the Invisible Realm. It's fucking awesome, like I mean, that, obviously I'm paraphrasing, but it was that was
No,
cool.
no,
That must have been cool
to
too.
me that was, to me that was what made the project worth so much. And it was something that I didn't even know that's how they were going to present it. I mean, I would have been fine either way, because obviously it was like a very generous project. It was a commercial project. So, they were on their own right to just, use what I produced and, present it however they wanted it. It was fine. So when I saw, and, they let me know in advance when they were posting and when they were doing their stories and their posts and everything, so that we would coordinate, and I would also share with my audience. But again, I wasn't 100% sure of what they were going to say. When in the main BMW page that has like 30 something million, like, followers, I read the post, and it's like, explore the invisible realm in our new i4. I don't know, something like that. I was like,
Yeah.
what? That to me was everything. And they continue to do it in their stories. And then they, like, 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, posted on the BMW Electric, which is another account that has another bunch of million followers. So clearly they were happy with what I produced for them, and I was and will be forever grateful. I mean, it was such an opportunity, and the fact that brands that are that heavy and that big are willing to support artists, you know, creating these partnerships. To me,
Well,
that's
yeah, and
a lot.
that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, to me, that's that to me is the future. I mean, that, and I think that the sooner that brands and even ad agencies, the sooner they start like actually working with partners with their vendors or their artists or the people they want to work with, I feel like they'll get so much more out of they'll get so much more out of their advertising, basically. I mean, because essentially what you created, it was a piece of art, but it was also a piece of advertising, right? I mean, so but I think, like, to me, that's the future, and you know, hopefully we see more of that.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so
Um,
too.
yeah. What, anything else that, any other little nuggets to share about the project, or you feel like, you know?
Um, No, well, that project was just again, it was just an amazing opportunity and experience for me also to test myself as a director, as a CG artist, or in some bigger
Yeah.
projects, I more as a VFX creative director, but in this one, I basically took on hands-on on most of everything. And to me, that's a great challenge every once in a while. Again, I love to, and I enjoy working on larger projects, leading larger teams. But to me, there's something that I like about being able to do with my own two hands some of the things that I direct for, you know, in other cases, because it just gives you more tools whenever, let's say, if at some point I'm on a larger scale project and I have to, you know, interact with, you know, the different CG artists that are doing the different things, from the texturing, lighting, rendering, from the editors who are like editing the piece in the end, from the designers, you know, if like knowing how to do these things from an artist or director, you know, perspective, it gives you better tools to be more understanding with your team, and also to be able to mediate between the client and your team whenever, you know, requests come. Or yeah, so to me, that was an amazing exercise in all kinds of
Yeah.
levels.
So tell me this, like, what percentage of the work that you're doing now is, what's your balance, and does it, I mean, how much work are you just doing for yourself, for your own art? How much are you doing for, you know, as a, maybe more of a creative director of bigger teams, sometimes working for other agencies, and how much is, you know, just I guess,
Yeah, I mean,
well, I guess there's personal, or
if I would, yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
if I would put a sort of like percentage to that at this point, it's almost like 30, 30, 30 or something like that. I mean,
Yeah,
well, balance it
that's
out to
cool.
100 here and there. Because lately I'm doing a lot of, you know, just art. And this is again another topic that you know, that it's interesting, is that being a digital artist, everything that I've created from my body of work starts digital, even though I use analog sources and I scan stuff and I just, you know, bring it, but I bring everything into kind of like a virtual world to combine it with CG and, you know, all these other, you know, tools that I know how to use. But at some point, until very recently, thanks to, you know, like the recent developments on blockchain, until very recently,
Yeah.
there was very little value that you could, you know, give to digital art. So, you know, in the past couple of years, I'm like, well, I have to do something to, you know, to make these things have some sort of worth. So I started outputting my digital art in large scale and doing manual interventions into them, and just trying to
Yeah, it's
create
so,
like my own language of fine art that would involve digital art in some part of the process, but that in the end would sort of like come into the, I guess, the real world, or however you want to call it. And that's what when I started putting together this series that I'm continue to evolve. And so that again, that took some
yeah.
momentum,
Where
and
did
now I'm, yeah.
where did you get the inspiration for that? I mean, that, I love those. When I first saw that as a digital, when you first posted your first one, I was like, this shit is fucking insane. I love this, whatever this is. I don't know what it is. Looked like you were just like stretching pixels or something. And like, that's the first piece I saw. I was like, you know, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then you kept coming up with more stuff, and it was all, and it's called
Yeah,
the Edge of Reality series, right? And it started digitally, but now it's kind of
yeah,
evolved
yeah,
into a
yeah.
mixed media piece, or mixed medium, I guess. Or so tell us how you started, like where the inspiration came from, and how it's going now, because I know you've produced a bunch of pieces and sold a bunch and all that. So
Yeah. I mean, this series is so special to me because it, in a way, it started, um, and I mentioned that a little while ago. It started almost as a happy accident, basically. I was going through like a bunch of different changes. I had recently moved, literally moved from New York City, from living there for 15 years to where I'm at right now in Colombia. A lot of adjustments had to be made, and in my mind as well. I mean, in my own perception of, you know, what's reality. So I was kind of like one of those moments as an artist where you kind of like hit a wall for a moment, and you kind of get stuck. And I had this piece that I was just trying to figure out what to do with it, and right in front of me, and I was just so frustrated that, you know, kind of like the way, like, I don't know, a writer would kind of like rip a page that he's writing and doesn't like it anymore, or like a painter, I don't know. Well, I didn't have anything to literally rip apart because it was behind a computer screen. So I sort of like stretched the hell out of it, out
yeah.
of kind of like a little bit of a fit of rage. And, you know, that was the first piece. And I'm like,
Wow.
oh, wow, that's, and it, I mean, I didn't really invent the wheel by doing that, because that, I mean,
Yeah.
as a digital artist, computer artist, with, you know, stretching pixels is just something that is just technically not that, you know, complicated, or like, but
Right.
it was just the context and how it happened that it sort of like hit me. I'm like, wow. And in my own search for meaning about what reality means, because like a lot of my inspiration not only comes from like artists and art, but from the stuff that I read and the topics that I like to kind of like, you know, beat my head against, you know, quantum physics, and you know what reality is, and you know our version of reality. Is it real, or is it just like one of many? I mean, are we just coded to see things in this way? Are there maybe infinite ways to perceive reality, and we're just like little radios tuned to one frequency? I don't know, those sort of
Oh,
things.
wow. I
So
like that
so
stuff.
that piece, so I was just looking at that piece, and like the, like, let's say the reality, or like whatever we can perceive, it went all the way to the middle of the screen, and then the rest of it just sort of like stretched, almost as if, you know, it just got, you know, yeah, like reality got stretched in front of my eyes
Yeah.
by accident. So that to me was the birth of the Edge of Reality series. And obviously, as a digital artist and an artist myself, I started, you know, I'm like, okay, there's something here that I want to go dive deeper and investigate. So obviously I wasn't going to go on the easy route of just grabbing a bunch of pictures and stretching pixels left and right. I mean, I felt the responsibility to start evolving the visual language of it into something a little bit more elaborate and, you know, complex, you could say, and in different ways. I mean, conceptually, it uses certain type of imagery. I'm not taking like random pictures. I'm you know, gravitating towards certain era and certain situations, and that to me, it's part of the kind of like aesthetic of the series, but all, and because of the color palette, the tonalities, the textures that I use, from, you know, that has a lot to do with it. But the way I also stretch those pixels, it's a little bit more selectively now, and there's a whole game of what you want to stretch, what you don't want to stretch, what things are going to go in front of what. The moment that you stretch
Yeah.
something, you're blocking something behind it.
Right.
So do I
Right.
want to block that? Do I want to see through that? I don't know. So it's a whole balance exercise, just creating the digital piece on, and that's basically it. But in parallel
Is,
to it,
is there a
yeah, I
hashtag
was,
or anything, like people can go like type in and find that series or something if they're?
yeah, I mean, if they search for The Edge of Reality. I'm pretty sure I've tagged a
Yeah.
bunch of the pieces with that, or just browsing through
Yeah.
my
There's a
feed.
couple in my stories right now too that some of my favorites.
And also, and I have to mention this. I've been so lucky to, early in my art career, get involved with, an art gallery in New York City, Guy Hepner, and these two amazing curators who are the guys from the Tax Collection, and they become my friends and my supporters throughout the years. And it is through them that I've released some of this series into the world, and their encouragement of, hey, why don't we just do something even like another layer to it? Why don't we do something hand embellished? What are your so they basically, with this series and with other series that I've done, like the brainstorming that I've had with them and their support and their encouragement to just do something beyond just doing it in digital and printing it large scale, which is already cool, but what else can I do to add more to it as an artist? And that's when the whole idea of manually, like, masking and painting, hand painting some of
Yeah.
this, fragments of reality came about.
What, do you have a
And
piece there with you? Are you in your
I think,
office? There's that one piece that you
yeah,
have that I
have.
just love. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
awesome.
this. Let's see, this is one of them. Yeah, and then again, it's a lot of my art as the invisible realm, and this is just something my own kind of like personal, I guess, preference is that I love to explore past decades, and I love the sort of like nostalgia that you can find in some of those old images and old postcards and old advertisements, and it just somehow connects with me. I don't know. It's almost like when I was a little kid and I was watching my father's magazines or something, or the old National
Yeah.
Geographic. So that is also part of the series. That I try to maintain certain type of thematic or aesthetic. So yeah.
Yeah. You do a good job. I love that series. I mean, it's really cool. I'm glad it's gotten so much traction for you. I do think, to me, it's like, and then when I don't know, it's very cool. It's just, it's nothing, like you said, it's not anything anyone's never done, but it's just like something about it's very like compelling and draws you in. It's very cool. It's like, and I think it's funny because like, it's kind of like, I feel like it's my style too for some reason. I'm like, oh, like just like you're saying, the nostalgia of the photos, like maybe we're old souls. I don't know what it is, but or we appreciate history or past or moments from past, like
Yeah.
it's cool. But and then so
And then,
that go ahead.
no. And I was just gonna say, and I don't know, if any of my audience is out there, but these hand embellished pieces have gone all over the world, like from Canada, England, Australia, Istanbul, Israel, like
Wow.
Sweden, a couple of places in other places in Europe, uh, California, obviously, New York, a lot of pieces go to New York. So to me, it has allowed me to connect as an artist with such a global audience that it has been very, very. I don't know. I can't be more grateful because, like, obviously, especially during the pandemic, and I'm not in New York right now, so it could be easy to feel isolated or to feel alone or to feel like
Right.
left behind, far away. So, but through art and through my work and everything, just I kept such a connection with a global audience that it just makes you be kind of like part of the world, and to me that's great. That's amazing. And I love that art can do that. Is just allow you to connect with people from all over the world and have a conversation and share, as you're saying, like share the same aesthetic or the same the same things through art. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it is, because it's a weird time where a lot of people are working from home, and you don't have the, like, I'm like, I always tell people this too. This is another thing I say a lot of. I'm sure I bore a lot of people, but like, I feed off of people's energy. So like it was, when we were all kind of castigated to our homes and stuff in the last few years. And I mean, or the last, so I guess it's been 2 years now or whatever, but like, you kind of, it's nice to vibe off people. Have you been able to do that, during the pandemic over the last, year and a half? Or are you, it sounds like you have since you do have a global audience, you're probably getting pushed and pulled into some cool shit, talking to some cool people, but I'm just curious how that's been.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's been pretty good. I've felt very fortunate about, having a reason to connect with people, all over the
Mm-hmm.
world, and also my old friends, and not only in terms of art, but in terms of work. Some of my old colleagues or friends that I used to work with, including yourself, and the ones that I like, Carlo, and many other
Yeah,
amazing
Carlo.
directors and artists that are around, just to be able to continue to establish and to bounce ideas back and forth, and to share projects and ideas, and so and that to me kind of like breaks the barrier of, wherever you're at, or, like it just makes you feel part of more of a, like, it keeps you current, I guess.
Put my phone on do not disturb, but apparently that doesn't work. Um, so I missed the end, but anyway, I wanted to, you know, obviously, like you touched on this a little bit earlier. I want to hear about your experience with NFTs and blockchain. And I mean, I think that that's such a massive thing these days for artists. And as you were saying, like as a digital artist, like it was hard to put value in the stuff that you create. But now that there's digital art that can be, I think, I don't know if this is the right term, but minted on the blockchain, where it becomes like, an original piece that no one else can copy, or, is ownable. Digital art has become ownable. And tell us a little bit about your experience in that realm. I know that you've sold some stuff, and you've created a lot. You created a lot of stuff for NFT, and even put some of your other maybe older stuff up for sale as well, or on the blockchain. Or so tell us your experience, how that's going, any insights. I'm sure there's a lot of digital artists out there that are curious, about how things are working for you, and anything you can pass along or tell us about it. I'm sure the audience would love to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to me, I haven't, yeah, I haven't been able to fully figure it out just yet. I'm still like in discovery mode.
Which is fair.
Um, I wish, I mean, two things. If you read about what anyone says, this is still very early, and anyone who thinks that has, missed a lot. I mean, obviously there's stuff that has happened, but you're still early to jump in and to get acquainted by it. Like, if you're an artist, I mean, it's never late. But I wish I had jumped in last year. I was just too busy. I was just too busy doing my Edge of Reality that I just sort of like, it just went,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not saying that if I would have done that, things would be dramatically different. Maybe not, but definitely getting access to some of these major platforms that serve also as, curators, and sort of like promote your art with
Basically,
the
they're like the
audience.
new art galleries, right? Like they're the new,
Yeah,
big curators in the business. I mean, that's what they are now. They're controlling how much things get sold for, and to whom, and how, and what, and it's pretty fascinating. Um,
it is fascinating. I mean, it just, I don't know if this is going to change again, or eventually, or more platforms will arise. Probably yes, but obviously there's a few that are maxed out and they're great. And again, it's no matter how good of an artist you are, sometimes it's just, can't get in. But
yeah.
there are others that, through an application process or referrals or invitations, you're still able to join. But then again, and this is something that I've learned, and this is my own personal opinion. I mean, overall, I've had a positive experience.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've learned is that I was very excited about, I have a good audience in Instagram, and I have like my followers, they like my art and they communicate well with me. But then when it comes to NFTs, the engagement is very different. But obviously it is because it's something so new that not everybody is, in it just yet, or some people are just not interested in that. So it's almost like you have to start from scratch basically, and you have to start developing your audience, from zero. So it's, it is challenging, but again, if you just, again, keep on going and don't lose momentum and don't lose motivation, eventually you'll start getting, into one or two platforms. And, it's a whole learning process, because you also have to learn how to price your pieces, if you're going to edition them, if they're going to be originals. And sometimes it gets, it's frustrating. Sometimes you don't get any response. But again, to me, it's better than nothing. It is. I mean, to me, it's fascinating. I like a challenge. And again, eventually, in this process of navigating this new medium, this amazing platform, Crypto.com, approached me, and they were like, "Hey, we're launching our NFT, platform. Would you like to be part of the artists who are going to be part of the release and create like a drop?" Which a drop means something that it's more specifically catered for like a moment, not like uploading a bunch of your old work, but more like creating something special for it, and then we'll launch it to our audience. So I'm like, yeah, hell yes, I'm totally down for it. So I created my first drop of exclusively for crypto, and I developed this this almost like narrative story of like 5 different pieces. And there was a launch date announced, and they did the drop, and they did an amazing job just getting their audience excited. And it sold out in 6 minutes. It was amazing. It was just,
wow.
I was like, wow.
6
They were like, well, we're pushing to be able to sell it in 24 hours. So we're going to be very moderate with the prices and with the edition numbers. And I'm like, I'm not going to argue. You guys know.
They know what they're
guys
doing. They're
know what you're
pros.
doing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I would price my pieces at whatever price, in other platforms, but, I'm going to adhere to your strategy and see if this sells in 24 hours. But it sold in 6 minutes. We were like, okay.
Wow.
So
that's
then
amazing.
I was invited to do a second drop and basically complete the story, because there was just more to it that I wanted to share. And I just did that about a month ago, and that went really well as well. And actually right now, as of today, I was just in touch with some of my collectors, because one thing, and this is the thing about NFTs, is that I don't think they have been fully invented just yet. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with them. So, some people are just happy with collecting, the digital token, and just having the, knowing that they own the rights to it. But to me as an artist, I think that's amazing. But since I'm used to seeing things and feeling things and having, my pieces as large scale prints, I'm like, well, why don't I also create the series that I did for just NFT into prints, large scale, that other, parts of my audience who are not into NFTs but like my art, so that they also have access to it. But on the other hand, I also want to honor the guys, or the people who invested in the NFTs in a way, or to thank them. So I'm sort of like, I'm releasing that series, which is called Quarantine Dreams, as a print limited edition release, but I'm giving my NFT collectors a very, very special discount, obviously, just to cover production costs and shipping and all that. But I want them to have these pieces as physicals as well, which is cool. Again, not required, but I want to do that just to kind of like establish a long-lasting relationship with them and to just give that value to my work.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Like that's the other thing, I guess, is like you're kind of connected to your to the your collectors, I guess, right? I mean, like, it's easy to find who, right? It's easy to find who bought it. I mean, it's all like kind of recorded, and I mean, I don't know, maybe that's it's normal for the old style collecting prints and whatever, but that I mean, I don't know. It's just like it's cool. It's such a cool transition for art, I think. That you can I don't know, I'm a huge fan of it. Like I just think it's like because you just see, you and I, like, especially kind of growing up in motion graphics, like, we just saw so much stuff that like was reused or not used right, or copied, or like, and um and it's just cool to see some sort of way that people can have ownership over awesome pieces of digital art.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and again, that's what I'm when I say that I think this is very early in the process and things are continue to evolve, and the things that people are starting to realize that can be done with in the NFT space are amazing. And yeah, and I think it gives power to the artists or to the
Yeah.
creators. And again, like everything else, there's going to be a platform or like a slash gallery or something, and sometimes you need to be aware that if you join or if you're able to get in, you'll get more leverage because you'll get access to their following
Right,
and all of
right,
that.
exactly.
That happens in the art world anyway. So again,
Right,
there's so much to learn. I'm just very excited that and again, I haven't minted all my work, or
right.
just a fraction of it is still like minted, because obviously I don't want to rush into it either. I want
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I think that's smart. I mean, I think, like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just throwing shit out there to see what happens, or like, but it's like there's a lot of stuff that's silly, like, that's not
Yeah,
good. It's not even good.
and there's a
It's
lot of
like,
noise right now. There's just
yeah,
so much
yeah.
noise, just people trying stuff left and right, and then there's some amazing art, somewhere
Yes.
there too. But it's easy to get lost in that, and to kind of like question even your own value after like seeing people selling stuff for this insane amount of ETH, and then some other artists who were there a little later, not selling anything, and you're kind of like somewhere in the middle, and it's tricky. I mean, you do have to be very kind of like you know have some sort of balance to not let that sort of like get to you also emotionally as an artist or anything. Just take it easy and don't take it too personal. And again, just continue exploring what platforms are better for your art. Different platforms have different audience, and just knock on different doors and apply to a couple of different places. And I'm now also up, minting stuff on OpenSea as well, because it's just more like doesn't have like that type of I don't know. It just feels a little bit easier in a way to
Hmm.
have a booth there. Anyways, there's a lot to learn. So, but I
Yeah.
do I do encourage any artists out there to just give it a try. I mean, there's not nothing to lose by trying. It's just something that it's an
Yeah.
addition.
Well, cool, man. That's like, it's all, I love all the stuff you're doing, man. I love, like the brand partnerships, the personal edge of reality stuff. You're in the NFT game a little bit too. I mean, I think it's so important to kind of be a well-rounded artist these days and really, not only touch on the stuff that makes you feel good personally, but like, you gotta be, I mean, again, it's like for anything, be getting you have to be getting pushed and pulled from different areas, and or, for me anyway, to keep things interesting, and also hopefully we're all making a little money, in different areas and things like that. So
I agree, and again, just going back to the project that we first, it was because I was developing, one of let's I don't know if it was the NFT series or something that the other client from the other, commercial branch just knocked on my door. It's like, hey, we love what you're doing there. Can we? So it's
Yeah.
like, I think just navigating different waters and taking risks in different arenas will help you, I don't know, will help you keep yourself,
Yeah.
current and challenging yourself to get better. But it also will help you to attract attention from other, horizons. And, I think in the end, they'll all meet,
Yeah.
hopefully. But
I think that brands, the good brands are smart and they have people looking in all these different areas for talent and people they want to partner with. So it's really good, and I'm happy to see it. And I'm happy to see a personal friend have some success in those areas as well. So it's cool, man.
thank you
Well,
so much.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to share, but it's been awesome talking to you. I'm excited for you, and it's like I just feel like you're still going up in your career, which is awesome. So excited. Obviously hopefully we get to work on something together soon.
I hope so too, man. I really look forward to it. Thank you so much for having me here, for you know allowing me to speak to your audience. I love what you're doing as well, and this forever. I've had the greatest respect for you as a person, as a
Wow.
friend, and what you do
Damn,
in
keep it
terms
coming,
of,
man. I don't hear this too often. That's good.
yeah, man.
Just kidding. Appreciate it, man. Well,
Oh, yeah.
much love to you and your family, and looking forward to seeing what else what you come up with next.
Thank you so much. Yeah, man.
All right, buddy.
Talk to you soon, man.
See you later.
See you later, man.
Thanks, everybody. Hope to have more artists and directors and producers and stuff on coming up. Hoping to have a lineup to share in the next couple weeks.